Hey guys, carrying around for Team Wolf, Season 5, Episode 14, The Sword and the Spirits, and I was looking forward to this episode, definitely. I mean, I knew this episode was again going to be another rescue mission, and that's one of my problems with the second half of the season, and maybe it's just that the first half was so great, but I really do feel that we are moving too fast with getting the pack back together, and I understand that's the big part of this, is getting Scott's pack back together, but I do have to say that some parts of this episode definitely felt a bit rushed, and this overall was a great episode. I definitely really did enjoy it. It's just some of it I really think could have been handled a bit differently, so we could have had a bit more complications, and I'm not a huge fan of them basically wrapping everything in a bow towards the end of the episode, because that's what it seems like they're doing, is that they're, finding this person, and here's what's next, and I just don't like the way that they're doing this exactly. I might just have wanted a little bit more slower story. I definitely think they're going a bit too fast, but let's just get into this episode, because I overall really did enjoy it. It's just some of it I thought was definitely, not as well executed as it could have been. So we start with Chris and Gerard. They're moving through an underground tunnel, and Gerard finds a fingerprint, reveals that they're looking for the Beast of Gevadon, and which I looked up is a real thing. Like, the Beast of Gevadon, that is not something that they made up in the show. It's a real, like, not a real thing, but like it's like a myth out there, definitely. So Gerard tells Chris that the body is oil black, like a shadow pretending to be real, and they proceed with caution. Chris asks how to stop it, and Gerard says that all they need is a simple spear from Amanda Gevadon, and Amanda Gevadon was the only thing that ever stopped the beast, and they need to find this spear. So right away we know what's going on, we know how to stop it, and I wish this was a bit more complicated. I guess, I don't know if this, involves them looking for Amanda Gevadon, or simply just finding the spear, but this definitely really does interest me. They continue to move through the tunnel. Chris takes the lead as Gerard continues in another direction. Gerard runs into the Dread Doctors and places a frequency scrambler. He knows their frequency and is wondering why they are down in the tunnels, and Chris approaches a drain. When he looks down there are countless bodies being fed on by insects. Really creepy stuff, and that's how this episode starts. I definitely like seeing Chris and Gerard working together. I definitely will say that. I really enjoyed that. Parrish is watching at the body, as the bodies are being wheeled into the hospital on gurneys. Stilinski approaches Parrish and tells him he thinks the dream is coming true, but it's not. He orders Parrish to go back through all the files that they were looking through, and basically, Stilinski then tells Styles, Scott, and Kira that Chris found the bodies, and Scott believes that it all has to do with the Dread Doctors hiding the beast, and I very much feel that's what's going on. I mean, part of the reason this is so complicated is because of the Dread Doctors, just their their control, what they're doing. A lot of it, I definitely do agree, has to do with the Dread Doctors, and I think Scott really is onto something there. So, Lydia's continuing her training with Meredith, who tells her that her hands can guide her voice, pushing it so to the targets, and Meredith tells Lydia she needs to find her own way, and Lydia doesn't believe any of it is real, and that is a big question that I've had, is have these things been real, or has Lydia just been losing it? And Meredith uses her banshee powers to show Lydia that it is real, and then asks Lydia to break the glass in her cell, and just seeing what Meredith can do, I mean, it's pretty incredible. And basically, she wants Lydia to break the glass, and Theo's the meeting with Malia, tells her that he's going to help, but he needs to inject her with Wolfsbane, and as we know, these two teamed up, and I was very hesitant about how this was going to go, because I didn't want this to come across as Malia being an idiot, but I do think that part of it, they definitely tried to not make it that, but part of it definitely was, why would you trust him? I mean, definitely. So, basically, but he says that he needs to inject her with Wolfsbane so that she can't see where he takes her. Malia asks why she should trust him, and he basically says that, she trusts him and steps forward. He tells her to move closer and closer, and when she does, he injects her, and basically, you don't know if he has an ulterior motive or not. That's the thing about this, is that you don't really know if Theo can be trusted right now, and if Malia should be trusting him. So Scott's walking through the hallways of Beacon Hills High when he hears an announcement of a curfew, and he sees deputies with guns marching through the halls. Styles approaches one of them that he thinks it's a bit too much, and Styles asks the deputy for his theory, and he responds by asking them if they believe in the supernatural. And Kira's father then takes Kira's sword from her, and she's worried that she won't be able to fight without it. He tells her to remember that she's stronger than the sword, and that's a gateway to the Kitsune, which is too dangerous. And I like seeing this transformation that Kira's going through. I mean, all season, we've definitely seen Kira becoming a lot more powerful, and it's clear that her father's worried that she's going to become too powerful, and she's going to become very dangerous, and he tells her to outfox the fox and breaks her sword down, and part of that is that she needs to, get to the Kitsune and not be the fox, because the fox is very much a part of what is triggering all of this, adrenaline and all of the crazy shit that Kira's been going through all season. So, Malia then wakes up on an operating table and restrained. She asks what Theo's doing. He tells her that it won't be easy to find the Desert Wolf, and the restraints are to keep him and her safe. Theo wants to give Malia the vibrations that the Dread Doctors use to find the Desert Wolf, and Theo tells her to concentrate on exactly who she wants to find, and a memory that triggers a possible location. He puts the goggles on her, and he tells her to open her eyes as she screams in pain, and she sees Deaton telling the Desert Wolf which, by the way, very cool scene here. I really enjoyed this. He actually did help her here. I really do think this was helping her. She sees Deaton telling the Desert Wolf that it has to be the full moon, and reveals that her mother is in Beacon Hills, and obviously, she's freaking out. Malia's then racing through the boys' locker room, asks Liam to tell Scott something. He tells her that Scott isn't talking to him, but she tells him to tell Scott that he was right about the tunnels, and she reveals that there's an operating room down there and that he was right. And again, something I've liked is that Malia hasn't necessarily been on Scott's side. She didn't really know if she could trust him. She didn't really know where she was. But now she knows that he was 100% correct and that she can, in fact, trust him. And Malia and Brayden are then with Theo, and Brayden wants nothing more than to kill Theo for what he did to Scott. That's what her mission is. And Brayden tells both Malia and Theo that something happened to the Desert Wolf, and her powers aren't all there, but she is still a great shot with a gun. So, obviously, she's still very dangerous, but something has happened to her. They don't know what it is yet. So Liam takes it upon himself to explore the tunnels. Now, let me just say, where the hell's Hayden? Hayden's not in this episode for whatever reason, and we've had all this great stuff with Theo and Hayden wasn't here, Mason wasn't there, and it really felt like that storyline was missing. I mean, that's become such a central part of Liam's character that when Hayden and Mason are not there, it feels weird that they weren't there. I don't know why they weren't here, but for whatever reason, Hayden and Mason were not in this episode, and it definitely felt very strange. Corey wasn't here. In fact, nothing with Theo's pack was not in this episode at all. It wasn't even a part of this episode, and it just felt very strange. I mean, we've really been building to that, and the fact they weren't here definitely felt very strange. So, he then finds Scott, who asks him if he's lost, and Scott tells Liam that he followed him, and Liam reveals that he was trying to find out if this is where he and Hayden was taken, and Scott tells him that there's a turn that he missed, and that he watched Liam pass it 5 times. However, Scott tells Liam that they can try and find that turn together. And basically, Malia, Theo, and Brayden are preparing themselves for battle with the Desert Wolf, but Brayden isn't really sure about the plan. She doesn't really know if this is going to work out, and Malia bypasses her words, moves in anyway. Meredith and Lydia continue their training, and Meredith reveals that when her powers started, all she could hear was people dying, and Meredith then shattered all of the windows in her classroom, which, very interesting story here. I really like finding this out. Basically, says she shattered all of the windows in the classroom she was in, and when she opened her eyes, the other students had glass shards in them. There were some, they had like glass in their head. I mean, really, really crazy shit. But she tells Lydia that her voice is like a bomb going off, but Lydia's needs to be a bullet. And just then, Lydia hears a noise, sees Malia, who's being approached by the Desert Wolf. Malia's in a ton of fear, and Lydia says that she is going to die. And Malia's then laying in bed in Eichen House. Styles is trying to talk to her about school as it could trigger something in her, and he begs her to come back to them, and then notices that there is a patch of hair missing, and there has to be reasons to why that's going on. He then confronts Natalie about it, and Natalie basically tells him about a procedure that's being done. He tries to tell her that is wrong what they're doing, but she only tells him to leave before he's never able to visit Lydia again. And it's clear that Natalie doesn't really know what is going on with Eichen House and what they really do. So Styles leaves but manages to get a key card from one of the workers, and Scott and Liam are trying to trace a vibration. Liam says it's coming from everywhere. He explains to Scott that he was trying to do something right. Scott says he does plenty of right, but Liam hasn't said sorry for one wrong. And that's been the thing that really ruined this. Liam really, fractured their friendship by not saying that he was wrong. And Liam told Scott a story about being forced to say he was sorry when he was little. He says he feels like he needs to do more than say sorry, and like he needs to save Scott's life. And Scott tells him that he's pretty sure Liam will have a chance. And just then, Liam talks about the strange opening on the wall, and Scott turns his attention to it. He turns the dial, unlocks the room. When he opens the door, he runs right into Chris and Gerard, and Scott is shocked to see Gerard alive, already shows off his alpha eyes, and obviously he hasn't seen Gerard in such a long time. This was, without a doubt, probably one of my favorite aspects of the episode. I mean, just the reunion of Gerard, I love seeing. Gerard tells him that the color suits him, and Liam is finally introduced to Gerard, and I love Liam's line of, "Who's this old guy?" I thought that was great. Chris defends his actions in bringing Gerard back by saying he has knowledge of all the stories. They reveal that the painting in the room is actually the beast fighting the Hellhound, and now we know what's going on, because, we saw that painting, of course, in the finale, and we thought that that was going to be Theo facing the Hellhound, but no, it's the beast fighting the Hellhound, which definitely means that eventually Parrish is going to get involved, and Parrish is definitely going to have to take down the beast. Now, I don't know if Parrish is going to be the one to get the spear, but we'll have to see what happens there. So Scott then tells them about the Damonito Memorai message, and they knock down another wall, find a stack of bodies. Scott notices that the dead bodies in the painting represent all of them, which is very strange, and Malia, Brian, and Theo are then moving gingerly through the building when Malia notices that something is wrong. They find Deaton tied to a chair, but all of a sudden Theo attacks Brayden. He takes the gun from her, shoots Malia. He tells her that she picked up his signal and that he didn't want to turn her in, but he didn't have a choice. He receives a bottle filled with an element that reacts to his eyes and tells Malia she should have listened to Brayden, and I'm just thinking, why would you trust Theo? I mean, the one thing you can never do is ally with the enemy. I don't know why Malia was thinking that Theo was serious and that she could trust him, but this really was dumb. It really was dumb for her to do, and I wanted them to not make this be Malia being an idiot, but that's exactly what this came across as. Malia really, I thought, made a stupid decision here, and it really sucks because Malia's not dumb. She's really not. She's very smart with what she does, and the fact that she actually believed Theo, I think, is really stupid. I mean, I understand that he sounded sincere, but, I mean, I'm pretty sure that we all saw this coming, that Theo could not be trusted. And the Desert Wolf smiles in delight as Theo walks away. It's clear that those two are working together. Parrish comes face to face with, well, actually, I don't think they were working together, but I think that Theo knew where Desert Wolf was and lured them to her. So Parrish comes face to face with Gerard and Chris, and basically Chris tells him about the Hellhound, and they ask him to go over what happened to him in Afghanistan, and he looks over memory of trying to fuse a bomb when it goes off. And I like finding this out, that he's had problems in Afghanistan. He clearly suffers from PTSD because of it, and I definitely really like seeing that he kind of had to face old memories, and Chris then holds Parrish while Gerard holds a flame to him. Parrish finally sees himself begin to transform into the Hellhound, and Parrish is completely shocked and asks Chris if Gerard is his father. Chris replies, not by choice, and I don't know why Parrish asked that necessarily. I don't know why. It felt like a weird line. I don't know why it was there, but something I'm not as big as a fan of is that it seems like they've kind of gotten away with the whole Parrish's obsession with Lydia. I mean, it really seemed like we were getting into that, and now that's kind of gone away. Ever since Lydia went into this coma, we really haven't been focusing too much on Parrish, and I think that's one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of. I honestly think they might have done a bit too much with some of these characters, and because of that, now the payoff is not great. I definitely will say that. So Dean is struggling to get loose as the Desert Wolf tells her that her powers were stolen. She's torturing Malia, and before she kills her, Dean says that Malia has to be killed during a full moon. All of this is happening as Lydia is struggling to break free. She does manage to break the glass and cause a memory distraction of Corinne, who is the Desert Wolf, and Malia. Malia then rises up, prepares to battle her mother, and Malia battles it out with her mother while Lydia battles the attendants at Eichen House. Lydia looks like a badass with learning to use her powers, and it looks like she escaped. We basically get the first scene from Season 5. We are now caught up, and I like that. I like that we're now caught up. We now know what's going on. Well, we don't know what happened in the mid-season premiere, of course, because there was a flash forward there, but the flash forward that we saw in the premiere, we're now caught up to that, so I definitely like seeing that. However, it really seemed like things were darker then, and things were definitely more dire than they really were. I mean, it seemed like at this point, everyone was separated and things like that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit disappointed by the way they've handled this. And it's not that it's bad. In fact, I think a lot of this was really great. This scene was awesome, I have to say. Malia and her mother are interrupted by the beast of Gevadon, who breaks down the walls right behind Deaton. Lydia is captured, and we basically, like I said, see the scene from the beginning of the scene replay itself, and Malia rushes to save Deaton and Brayden, and they together make a move to get out of the building, and very intense stuff. I mean, just knowing what the beast can do and things like that really made this scene very intense. So Theo meets up with his Chimeras, who manage to take down Deucalion. Finally, we see the Chimeras, and Theo wants to steal the power of the beast, and basically he wants Deucalion to show him how, and Deucalion wants Scott's eyes. He wants the eyes of Scott, and basically, the thing I don't like about this, and the only reason I'm complaining, is because this is very similar to what we did with Peter in Season 4. As we know, Peter, Derek's brother, definitely went into a villainous direction. It definitely seemed like they were going to do that. Peter wanted to be the alpha, and I'm pretty sure that Deucalion wants the same thing. He wants to be the alpha, and if he takes Scott's eyes, he'll be the alpha, and if that's really what we're doing, we're basically repeating the same exact storyline. I'm not a huge fan of that, because that only happened one season ago, and we're already repeating it. So I really hope that we're not repeating it, and they're going to do something different here, but I am not confident of that, I have to say. So Scott and Liam return to the vet to find Malia, Brayden, and Deaton. Scott hugs Deaton, shows a look of gratification towards Malia, basically saying that he can trust her. We didn't get a scene between Styles and Malia. I really wanted to see a scene between these two, but we didn't. In fact, Styles was barely in this episode, in case you guys could tell. Styles wasn't really here a lot. Kira wasn't there a lot. They weren't in this as much, and I don't know why, but Styles especially was very lacking in this episode. So later that night, Scott's full pack assembles around a layout of Eichen House as they plot a way to get their last member, who of course is Lydia. I didn't really think we need the line of Scott to say, now we need Lydia back. Like, no shit, obviously you need Lydia back, but that's how the episode ends. And let me just tell you guys, I didn't think this was a bad episode. I thought this was a really good episode. It's just, I really feel they're moving too fast. I mean, the past 3 episodes have pretty much all been the same. Scott has a mission, he goes on the mission, he works through the problem. We basically realize that the plot set up with all these, with the pack being divided was completely pointless because they moved past it very quickly. We then have all these action scenes, and basically, we now need to find the next pack member, and I'm just not a fan of the way they're doing this. I mean, it really just seems like they had these ideas in the first half of the season, and now this feels like a very different season. And I don't know if it's just maybe this season isn't as great as I thought it was going to be, but the first half of the season I think was definitely a lot stronger than the second half. And I'm not disliking the second half by any means. There are some very good things they're doing here, like what they done with Lydia and everything with the Beast. I'm really loving the way they're setting things up there. Let me just say that. That definitely is getting very interesting. But it's just, I really felt that we needed more with this pack, and I understand that they need to reassemble the pack because they just need to, they need to reassemble the pack to take down the Beast, but it doesn't seem like anything's really changed. It seems like they're just picking up right where they left off. Scott and Styles are back to being best friends. Scott and Liam are fine now. Scott and Kira are back together. The only drama that it seems is going on is Styles and Malia. That is the only thing. Everything else seems fine, and obviously, I mean, there's a Beast out there. I'm talking about the pack itself. I really wanted more drama between them, and I really didn't feel like we got enough time there. I mean, we got one episode of seeing the pack divided, and now we're back to the pack being together except for Lydia, and I'm kind of just a bit underwhelmed, I have to say, definitely. Just a bit underwhelming to me. Also, Malia trusting Theo just felt very out of character to me. I don't know why Malia would trust Theo, and she did say the line, "Why should I trust you?" But he didn't really give her that much of a reason, so I understand that, like, he wanted to help her, but it seemed clear to me that she shouldn't have trusted him, and I really don't understand why Malia believed him. It didn't really seem like that was something that Malia would do, so that really didn't work for me. Let's talk about the Beast, though. Is Parrish going to be the one to get the spear? Because obviously, they need to find the spear to get to the Beast, and I like that we really haven't seen the Beast yet. We don't know what the Beast looks like. I mean, very terrifying stuff. I can't wait to see how that goes. Definitely, out of everything going on, that without a doubt is my favorite thing going on, because all that hate and stuff, we didn't even get that in this episode. It felt like we were missing that, and I really wanted to see more of that. Lydia, I love seeing Lydia be a badass. Definitely, she's more aware of her powers. Are they going to be able to save Lydia? This is the one thing that I'm like, maybe this could take a while, because we know that Lydia's trapped in Eichen House. It seemed like there was a big struggle going on there, so I really hope that it pays off, because we got that awesome flash forward in the premiere, and I really hope that that's not just something they quickly solve, because that's what it seems like is going on, that we had all these really complicated plot elements, and now it's just very quickly they're wrapping it up in a bow, and I'm not a fan of that. I understand that when you watch a show for years, you don't really want to change anything, but it really seemed like they were trying to change things up, and if they really are repeating the Deucalion arc with what happened with Peter, I mean, when shows repeat arcs in general, that just shows that it needs to end, and I'm not saying the Teen Wolf needs to end, I'm just saying that I really wish that they would have executed some of these arcs better, because I really feel they rushed a lot of them. Desert Wolf, for example, I really think we got to see enough of her. I understand what's going on, but I just wanted to see more of the Desert Wolf, and I really didn't feel like we got that. In fact, I really felt this was probably the most underwhelming storyline in the episode, and it's the one storyline that, it's the main storyline of the episode. It's a storyline that I should be loving, but I really didn't, because I really felt the getting there was very, very rushed, and I really wanted to see more. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Like I said, I really wanted to love this episode, but I just didn't, because I really just felt everything was just too neatly wrapped up, and I wanted some more drama. I wanted something more going on, and we really didn't get that. Are you guys enjoying the way they're doing this? I'm just not a fan of this one episode, everything's okay. It just isn't really working. I mean, the way they set things up in the first half, it just seemed like we were in for a much darker season, and knowing that the Dread Doctors are out there, I'm praying that the Dread Doctors fuck something up, because that will definitely make things very interesting, and now Theo, first of all, is losing, because obviously his plan didn't work, and now I don't know what Theo's trying to do. Honestly, guys, I'm kind of lost with this Chimera Chimera plan at this point. I'm lost. I don't really know what Theo's gonna try to do, because I thought his plan was to break the pack apart. Clearly, that's not working, so what exactly he's gonna do by bringing Deucalion, I understand what he's trying to do and taking down the Beast, but what exactly is his plan for Scott? I can't really tell right now. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for tonight's episode of Arrow, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.